Right, let's start with this one from Logan. Said, what's up, Craig? Konate starting to get on my nerves. I have to be careful with these things because I'm black and white, pretty cut and dry with these kind of things. I'm pretty blunt about my feelings on it, and it kind of is similar to the situation with Trent. You could kind of see it coming a mile away, but it doesn't really change what's happened since October, where Paul Joyce had said that Liverpool were close to an extension. So I really don't know what has changed between now and then, whether Konate just fancies a different move in his career and he thinks now is the time to make that change. I don't know, but I do know what I want Liverpool to do in this situation. Of course, we'll go through that soon. And we'd seen this from Santi_J_FM on X, and it's now been, Foot Mercado and many others are coming out with it. And it simply reads as such: Ibrahima Konate wants to leave Liverpool at the end of his contract. Now, again, this isn't me, or this isn't you, or this isn't anybody else putting this out there. This is the media obviously getting briefed on something. Foot Mercado then said Real Madrid, Barcelona and Paris Saint-Germain are all interested in the defender's arrival on a free transfer next summer, and the Frenchman is favouring a move to Real Madrid. Now, I'm going to be blunt tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to make it as simple as I can to give you my take on it. If he thinks he can weasel his way out of the club on a free contract, so be it. But he should be on the bench or in the 21s for the season. And let me explain to you why. It isn't just as simple as me being annoyed about it. It is two things. One, I think it's feasible financially for Liverpool to do. More on that in a second. And apart from that, I'm getting fed up of it. The club are surely getting fed up of it. And you might say, Craig, the club have let this situation happen. Fair enough. But we do have to draw a line in the sand. And for me, if he doesn't want to extend at the club, he either agrees to be sold this summer or he rots in the reserves in the 21s for the season. And here's why I think it's possible. His wages, as we know, are about 75 grand a week. So for Liverpool to basically write him off for the season will cost about £3.5 million. And I think that is a stance worth taking personally. Now, you might be somebody who feels differently and thinks that Liverpool should lean into Konate for the season ahead. But for me, you got to make this clear to any player coming in the future, and to Real Madrid or any other club that thinks they're going to get Liverpool players to run down their contract and leave for free. You've got to make an example. And it was a much harder stance to take with Trent, who had spent 20 years at the club and, of course, was a local boy. Konate came in. We've all enjoyed him being here. We all hoped that he would extend and stay. But if he doesn't, for me, it's cut and dry. Liverpool need to make an example out of Konate in this situation and say to him, we either find you a club this summer or you're sitting on the bench or in the 21s for the season ahead, and best of luck going to the World Cup. That is as simple as I can put it, how I feel about it. And again, I don't know what you guys think, if you agree or disagree, but for me on this one, it's a no-brainer. Time to draw that line in the sand. And as I mentioned, financially, it's possible. £3.5 million is his wages over the course of a year, and Liverpool can afford to take the stance in this position, in my opinion. Other people might think, well, Craig, let's utilise him for the year. Again, my thoughts on that are always, I don't ever believe a player is going to give you 100%. If they know that their future lies elsewhere. And I also think we need to send a message to the likes of Real Madrid. So that's where I'm at with Ibrahima Konate. But I want to know where you guys are at. So let's put this to a poll and see what you're all thinking. So let me get it ready. Now, we got to keep in mind, we haven't heard this yet directly from the player. But we played this game with Trent as well, and we all had to pretend, players aren't aware of these things happening or whatever. They very much are. So what should Liverpool do about Konate? There's three options here on the table. So we can either try to force a sale and tell him he's going to rot in the reserves if he doesn't. We can play him and let him run down his contract for the year. Or we can keep trying to extend and put a deadline in. So vote away on those three options. And I want to see how you're feeling about this one. Because for me, it is a bit different to the Trent situation in that he isn't a local boy. He hasn't been at the club 20 years. And I don't think the club need to be as respectful, for want of a better word, as they perhaps were with Trent. That's my take on that anyway. And like I've said all the way through, I also have another take on this, that I think Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes will look at the likes of Konate and maybe even Diaz and not really fear their departures, thinking that they're in positions that the club could probably improve on. And, there has to be a reason why Liverpool aren't getting to the numbers that Konate wants. And that reason can only be that they just don't think he's worth putting another contract of the amount of money he's asking for in front of him. That's where I am. Freiburg said Craig Konate has rubbished it, mate. Has he? I've not seen it. But either way, he's rubbished everything. He's rubbished he was close to a contract. He's rubbished that he wants to leave. But what he hasn't done is sign a new deal with the club. Or once come out and say, I only want to stay here. Again, I had this crap with Trent and we went through it all and we gave the benefit of the doubt and everybody told me be nice and all this other shit. And look how it worked out. So for me right now, it's really simple. Here's the contract offer. You have X amount of time, sign, or we go to a sale. It's as simple as that for me. I'm not going through another situation with Trent. And again, if he has rubbished it, I've yet to see it. Sincerely, I've yet to see it. Who's the source? There's a couple. There's Santi_J_FM and there's Foot Mercado and a couple of others. So it's not just one. There's a few ones. 100% no more Trent. Fuck Madrid and these players, said Didinho. Stevie Boy said Liverpool need to sell both Diaz and Konate, get the money in. Yeah, so look, again, whatever happens here, whether Konate rubbish it or not, he hasn't signed a new deal. That isn't going to change anything. That's it. You know, that's the way it's got to be this summer. You know, I'm sure we'd all love Konate to stay, but whatever the standoff is, or whatever has changed the situation over the past few months, it doesn't look like a contract renewal is on the cards anytime soon or likely to happen in the immediate future. So we can't let this happen again. We're going to have to draw a line in the sand. And I think for the reasons I've spelled out already, this is the right hill to make that stand on. But again, let's see what the chat feel. When will his contract end? He's got one more season, mate. So his contract will end the end of June 2026, the way it currently sits. Why does it always seem like somebody wants to leave at the time? Isn't Liverpool a big enough club for the players? Now look, I've got to say, Marcus, as much as I'm sitting here and I'm going to talk about the Konate situation and the Diaz situation, I do have to caveat everything I'm saying with, I don't know what Liverpool are saying to these guys. So Diaz, I'm sure, wants an extension. But in that case, it doesn't look like Liverpool are forthcoming with an offer. So Diaz we'll move on to in a while. I think that's a little bit different to Konate, where the club have been talking with Ibu over a new deal, but just haven't been able to find common ground on that yet. So, you know, this story today kind of just enhanced what we all thought might happen, or I guess sped it up a little bit. But this one I'm more shocked with than the Diaz one. The Diaz one, it's always seemed like Liverpool aren't in a place where they want to throw money at Diaz. And again, I'm not saying what's right or wrong there. Not my decision to make. Craig, I think Liverpool will play him regardless if you think he gives the best shot of winning. Again, I totally understand that standpoint. And I'm not saying my viewpoint is the right or wrong one on this. I'm just saying we can't be having this happen over and over again. And for the reasons I've outlined, i.e. the financial ones and the fact that, you know, we could bring in Mark Gay and another centre-back, I think we have the chance here to not just make an example out of Konate, because I don't really want to be having Liverpool fall out with Konate, but I want us to be taking a stand in general and letting Madrid and other clubs know that this shit isn't going to happen anymore. That's my anger at this is more at whoever's getting in his ear than at the player, because I like Ibu, and as I've said all the way through, I want him to stay, but it doesn't look like we're getting to that conclusion anytime soon. No player is bigger than the football club. So here's what I don't get, Eddie. Like, pushing aside anything else, why wouldn't you want to stay here? Like, Liverpool Football Club right now, got to be top 4 or 5 teams any player would want to play for. You know, we've just won the Premier League. We've made some really exciting signings. Virgil staying around. Mohamed Salah staying around. The manager's shown what he's capable of. And the club have shown that they're willing to go big and try to secure our future. Why wouldn't you want to be here? That's what I don't understand. Now, again, if it is Real Madrid, then come out and say it. And then get to the point where Liverpool and Real Madrid can maybe sort something out this summer. But, yeah, my loyalty is always to the football club. And if a player doesn't want to be here, well, then move on an unhappy player. That's the way I look at it. I don't like having a player in the team who knows his future isn't here, because I don't believe they're mentally or physically ever going to give their 100%. Even if people, you know, want to play nice and say, well, they're professionals. I get it. But they're professionals who won't want to risk or ruin a move that they may have in the future. So I've always said the same thing. I don't think you ever get 100% from somebody who doesn't see their future at the club.